The global market for medical cannabis is currently estimated at $150 billion and could reach $272 billion in 2028, according to Barclays Bank. The big question, should Kenya legalize it at the expense of individual health, while still stakeholders are pursuing its legalization for industrial use that rakes in huge profits? Listen, that's not the only item on Professor Wajackoyah's 8-point agenda for you if you elect him president come August 9. Remember that he plans to also introduce 8 prime ministers. And of course, if he says that if elected, he has promised to introduce 8 prime ministers to be in charge of the defunct 8 provinces. This move would actually be accompanied by the clearing of all the county commissioners from their jobs and then replacing them with the said prime minister. He also is promising another item, that is the change of the official working days here in Kenya. Once he ascends to power, Wajackoyah has disclosed his intention to reduce the official working days here in Kenya, and he says the working days should be between Monday and Thursday. Friday, being a Muslim prayer day, will not be counted as a working day, and Saturday and Sunday would also form part of the non-working days. That aside, he says that he will introduce the death penalty to the corrupt. He says that additionally, his administration will introduce a serious death penalty that would be able to deal with those who are corrupt. But of course, earlier on I'd mentioned that item on cannabis, but this is what he says: those who are found corrupt will face serious death penalty if he's elected president. And of course, moving forward, he says that he will hand the Ministry of Trade to a nominee of Asian descent. That is the other item that he says he would be able to introduce without declaring specific reasons. The lawyer says that he pledges to hand over the trade ministry to a person of Asian descent. Of course, he's here in studio. He'll be able to break that down for us. Also, the other item, he says he will self-appoint as the Ministry of Immigration. He'll be able to become personally the minister in charge of immigration. But that is not all. He also speaks about the media in the country, where he says that during his tenure, media houses will only be owned by journalists. These and many other issues right here to unpack tonight on this particular program. We want you to listen to each and every one of them. They are also on our social media platforms. I want you to start tweeting. What are your questions to Professor George Wajackoyah as he sits in this pretty studio, ready to answer your questions and clarify on the areas you feel that there's need for clarity. But in the meantime, our reporters have been out there in the field to prepare some key stories, and here are the highlights.
The news headlines in association with in our top stories tonight.
Nikifaulu kwa hii miaka mitano mniongezee. Lakini nikianguka kwa hii miaka mitano mtakuja kutumia.
On the campaign trail, Ruto charms Mount Kenya as Azimio Brigade camps at Odinga's backyard. Kenya joins the world in marking World Epilepsy Day with revelations that more than half of the world population still remains at risk from the disease. Also tonight,
niko katika kinyang'anyiro cha urais na sisi tunasema ya kwamba nikishinda ni sawa, akishinda pia tutakubali, sio?
Presidential hopeful Professor George Wajackoyah is on the bottom line.
During this month of love, for every 390,000 shillings that you spend as deposit or installment, you get 12k cashback to spoil your loved one this February. Maua Niplo.
Right, once more, welcome to this broadcast. Now, a bitter exchange emanated between the newly baptized Kenya Kwanza Alliance and the Azimio leaders as they traversed the country in a bid to comb villages for more votes ahead of the August 9 vote. Lawmakers affiliated to the Azimio La Umoja Brigade who camped in Migori took a swipe at Deputy President William Ruto, terming him as a ghost worker, while Deputy President William Ruto, on the other hand, charmed Nyeri County, where he begged Kenyans for just 5 years to prove his agenda for the country.
It was another eventful day on the political scene as the leading politicians sought votes across the country.
Sasa ningesema Ruto utacheza kisniper. Penye nitaenda kukaa tuma mtu kisniper ya mfuko.
Deputy President William Ruto was without his Kenya Kwanza allies Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula as he launched what he has termed as bottom-up consultative sessions in Nyeri, while declaring he was seeking a 5-year term for now.
Tumekuwa na mjadala inayosema ambaye rais wetu alituambia yake 10 na ya Ruto 10. Si ndio? Lakini mimi sitaki 10 saa hii. Nataka tuandikiane kwanza hii mkataba ya miaka 5. Nikifaulu kwa hii miaka 5 muniongezee. Lakini nikianguka kwa hii miaka 5 mtafute mtu mwingine. Si ni mzuri? Kwa sababu kama mtu hajafanya kazi ile alipatiwa anaongezewa miaka ya kufanya kitu gani?
And in Migori County, Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho led a host of Azimio allied politicians in campaigns for Raila Odinga, even as they took swipes at their opponents, led by William Ruto.
Jaturwa, tumewaambia safari hii kama ni mbaya, mbaya, kama ni noma, noma, kama ni noma, noma, kama ni mbaya, mbaya. Rais wa 5 atakuwa ni nani? Raila Amolo Odinga. Sina la kuongeza.
Tusidanganyane, sisi tunahitaji support ya rais na tunahitaji support ya watu yake. Rais alichaguliwa na watu milioni 8. Tunataka hiyo milioni 8 arudishe upande wa Raila Amolo Odinga ili Raila apate kura milioni 16. Sasa wewe Ruto, kama unaona hiyo ni mbaya, enda ulie ndani ya choo.
Sasa niwaulize swali moja watu wa Migori. Kama mtu hakuweza kazi akiwa deputy president, sahi kweli ataweza kazi ya kuwa rais?
Ikifika tarehe 9.
With less than 180 days before the general election, the race is heating up with the leading coalitions intensifying their winning strategies.
Kwa mlango, boma, kwa boma.
Calvin Kodalo, Look Up TV.
Kwa sipitali, soko, kwa soko.
Right, the political temperatures seemingly rising. Now tonight, Aquino High School is on the spotlight after several students claimed to have been sodomized in the institution. Parents are accusing the school administration of dedicating more effort to covering up the problem than helping the victims.
He actually scolded me for talking about it. He asked me, and I quote, Mama Frank, ni mtoto wako alikuwa na shida. Kwa nini uliandika kwa group ya wazazi? Mtoto wako ndiye ako na shida, sio watu wengine. Why? Was I not supposed to speak about it? Was I not supposed to seek justice for my son? All I have to say is that there's a God in heaven and there's a God of justice. And he knows what my son is going through. My boy loves school. He has been scoring A since he joined Aquinas. What has changed? The principal, Mr. Gadhi, are you not a father? Are you not a parent? What if this happened to your son? Mr. Gadhi, how can you tell me that you sent my son home by mistake? This is the second time, the whole of that term, that students are being sent home because of school fees. Why is it that this mistake didn't occur the first time that you were sending students home? Why did you have to chase my son away, and especially when he was sick? Why did you do that? Why? I don't have anything else to say.
Yeah, so obviously the account is a very sobering account. I think she said
Sijapigiwa simu niambiwe uko mgonjwa, because it's not the first time that my son was getting sick in school. Sometimes back, like a few weeks ago, he had chicken pox. And I immediately got a message from school. There are biometrics in school. I got a message immediately, and I was told to come pick your son. He's not feeling well. And I immediately went to the school and picked him. So I couldn't understand why there are biometrics in school. The class teacher has confirmed that my son was sick and had been sick, and nobody said anything about it. So when my son came, like I've told you, he looked very pale, he looked sick. I asked him, where did you get money to pay for the fare? He told me, Mom, pesa ulinitumia, sijatumia, which was so unlike him because he always spends pocket money. It's by me deciding to be sending money on.
What a sad story right there. Now, the day that is today is actually celebrated as Valentine's Day, and it is February 14th every year, and it has gained popularity in the past years across the globe. But this year, February 14th also has another significance. The year is also marked as part of the International Epilepsy Day. Tonight, as Kenya joins the world in marking World Epilepsy Day, Look Up TV's Waris Kimathi expounds on the condition which many misconceptions and misperceptions are associated, and several misunderstandings that prevent patients from enjoying their life to the fullest.
Imagine yourself walking down a busy street, passing hundreds of other people going about their business. Then you start getting an odd feeling. Unusual tastes and smells, and your sense of time and direction begin to fade. You stop to catch your breath, but then you start twitching. Your body starts to shake and jerk, and your whole body goes numb. You're having a seizure. That's what happens to Lilian Wanjiru at least once every few weeks. She has epilepsy.
There's a time back nilipata fit nikaanguka kwa maji kwa sababu that night it had drained na nilikuwa naenda shule. I think nilikuwa naenda shule ikahappen nikapata fit nikaanguka kwa maji. Na just Githurai at times unaweza pata kumenyesha na maji iko too stagnant place. Nikaanguka kuanguka. Ninasikia mama akiambia wa mama mwingine, "Guy, ona wasichana vile walikunywa pombe wakiwa wadogo." So many people thought that this girl is drunk, and because of hii generation vile tunaambiwa they are really abusing a lot of drugs. So people thought I was drunk.
Lilian is one of many Kenyans who suffer the brutal pain and stigma associated with epilepsy in the country. Growing up, she has had to cope with people treating her like she was a tainted person, something that has thwarted many of her life plans and, as she tells me, even made her stronger.
Work, sana kupata kazi ni ngumu, sababu utapata, there's a time nilikuwa nimepata kazi kwa place fulani, and then it can happen that at times, let's say, kuchange climate is a kind of trigger. Unapata kwa mfano kuanza kunyesha inaweza trigger, maybe kulikuwa kunanyesha au kulikuwa kibaridi kukuwa na jua inaweza kuwa bado trigger. So nikaandikwa kazi mahali ka happen by the time nizoea hiyo place because ilikuwa away from Nairobi. By the time nizoea mwili adapt hiyo climate nilikuwa napata fit sana, but kazi nilikuwa nafanya poa. Hakuna siku aliwahi complain. But hii kupata fit sana, one day alikuja akaniambia, "Wewe na huwezi acha kuanguka." Sasa kwa sababu ni boss wako utafanya nini? Na nyamaza tu, naambia tu Mungu akusaidie. But by the time, yani hata sikukaa hapo sana. Nikaambiwa tu siku moja asubuhi, "Shika hizi ndio umekuwa unafanyia kazi, enda."
A small group of determined Kenyans have been fighting relentlessly to eliminate stigma associated with epilepsy and increase access to medication for those living with this chronic condition. Reverend Frederick Beuchi is an International Golden Light Award winner who has made headlines for his brazen efforts in creating epilepsy awareness, including climbing Mount Kilimanjaro as part of his Angaza Kifafa campaign.
I don't have a live experience with epilepsy, but I'm a caregiver of my sister who was diagnosed with epilepsy when she was 2. She's now 15 years old. So I can so well say that in the journey of taking care of her, the last 12, 13 years has really given me an opportunity to know what it is like to really live with epilepsy. And number one is, if you have one person who has epilepsy in a family, they end up indirectly affecting about 5 people.
Most people who experience epileptic seizures and fits require specified medication throughout their lives, and lack of vital information coupled with a shortage of those essential drugs in the country has further exacerbated the problem for many families.
A case in place is of this young person who was taken for prayers for 3 days in a church. The parents were sleeping there, waking up there, and the seizures were continuous, and at the end of the day, the child passed on. And it was a very sad thing because he was being treated of the condition with a very professional doctor, and I really wish that they had also come to the hospital so that the doctor could look into what has made a relapse of the seizures coming back in such a way. Apart from the prayers, there are people who go to the wagangas, and recently we also noticed that even the wagangas are taking some of the anti-epileptic drugs. They mix them with the ashes or stuff, and they give you. So when you go home and you take it, I mean, your seizures are arrested and are managed. So you tend to believe that it's the medicine from the mganga which has worked.
In February 2022, President Uhuru Kenyatta launched the Universal Health Coverage Program, a program that some have lauded as the magical pill that is supposed to cure the long-running pain of medical and healthcare inaccessibility in the country. But for the 1.5 million Kenyans grappling with the harsh reality of epilepsy, the expectation is that access to healthcare and medicine, as well as better understanding by the communities they live in, will feature dominantly in the president's plan.
Last year, Look Up TV visited Fred Kiserem, a gentleman who quit a prestigious career as a pastry chef abroad and returned home to help people living with epilepsy in his local neighborhood of Mwihoko in Kiambu County. Today, we are back to see Kiserem, and he is showing us his latest project, a bakery.
And the bakery was here. I think last time you came, it was here. But now the project will be here. We are halfway done, Karibu. We are halfway done. But as you can see, we are almost finishing this place. We are almost finishing this place. This is the oven machine. This is the oven machine that will be baking the cakes and cookies. These are the tins. That we'll be using to make the sweet cakes and the types of cakes.
Once this bakery is complete, Kiserem will pass on the skills he learned abroad as a pastry chef in Iraq to other people living with epilepsy here in Mwihoko, Kiambu County, and that will cause a ripple effect that will put money in their pockets and restore dignity in their hearts.
Accessing drugs is very difficult here in our community, but I have a lot of stakeholders who are helping this project for medicines, because in Kenya, nobody is giving you these medicines. The poultry project is helping, I think, around 15 people to access these anti-epilepsy medicines. And also with the bakery project, we will increase more numbers to be coming to get this medicine. Because remember, even if I have NHIF, I cannot get these anti-epilepsy medicines for free.
As the country celebrates World Epilepsy Day every February of the year, people like Reverend Beuchi and Kiserem are holding the torch for many Kenyans bearing the pains of epilepsy, and they feel that if the government could be a little bit more involved, the lives of persons like Lillian Wanjiru would be much better, and their dreams would no longer seem to be so far away and out of reach. Waris Kimathi, Look Up TV in Nairobi.
What a story. Waris Kimathi, thank you so much for putting that together. We hope that the plight of those with epilepsy and of course those who are managing family and friends with that condition will definitely be looked into. And of course it is that particular story that takes us to a very fast break right here. When we come back, we are sitting down with a man who wants to be your president come August 9th, and he has 8 points that he believes will be able to make you choose him as the 5th. We're talking about Wajackoyah, that is Professor Wajackoyah. Is he the 5th for you? Will you be voting for him? Do you have questions? Do you have any clarifications that you need from some of the items he's put as top of his agenda? He's right here in studio on standby. So don't go too far. Stay with us.
Get a chance to wake up as a tourist as you view Mount Kenya every day by buying a plot of land at Wema Gardens, Maru Moru. At only 400 meters off tarmac, this is the right place to build your dream home, cottages or holiday homes. You can also buy this property to give to your children as a special inheritance. Water and electricity are in the vicinity, while neighbors are already building their homes. These plots are specially ready for you with title deeds scheduled to be out in 6 months. Buy a 50 by 100 plot of land at Wema Gardens for only 399,000 Kenya shillings. You can also pay for your plot through our friendly 1-year installments plan.
Want to grow your business? Broadcast your sermon, share birthday wishes, make funeral announcements, produce adverts and documentaries? Then book and advertise with us today by calling us on +254 700 893 542 700 893 542 or email us on sales@look-up.tv.
The future of money is simple, like unlocking possibilities with a smile and having the world in the palm of your hand. It's the ability to touch many lives at the same time and turn your dreams into reality. It's forgetting and still remembering. Simple is having everything that you love in one place. From the ticket to your next meal, to your ticket to the next holiday. It's an easy way to ask for a boost when you're low. And keeping track of everything on the go. The future of money is simple, and it's here. Download the new M-Pesa app today.
Yeah. Are you looking to turn your passion to purpose? Vera Beauty and Fashion College now brings you online classes at the comfort of your home. We are a TVET-approved institution with over 20 years experience in training competency-based courses in fashion design and creative arts, cosmetology, hairdressing, beauty therapy, interior design in soft furnishings, event decoration and flower arrangement, hospitality and catering, and training of trainers. To enroll, call us today on 0704 577 577 or visit our website at www.verabeautycollege.com. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, a center of excellence.
Help me identify a beautiful woman. I never came across one till I got to Vera.
Please make those payments and take dinner out the freezer. Enjoy your day off.
Hey.
How was your day?
Great.
Did you pay the bills?
Abby did it. And the plumber?
Abby did it.
Send money to your mom?
Abby did it.
Who's Abby?
Bank on WhatsApp with Abby, your 24/7 digital personal banker. Another digital innovation that gets things done. That's Africanacity. That's ABSA.
Did you take dinner out the freezer?
Like, follow, subscribe, click the notification button. Join the Lookup TV movement now. Now.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for still being with us right here on the Bottom Line KE, right here on Lookup TV. We are live across all the 47 counties and broadcasting also across our digital platforms. That is on Facebook. We are transmitting on Facebook Live. All you need to do is just leave a comment and we'll be able to sample them in the course of this program. Of course, I have Marian Gashu who says, tuned into the Bottom Line tonight. Hot conversation coming up. I can't wait. Of course, that's for sure. I have Kimathi Ikiara who's actually asking eti Wajackoyah legalize nini on the Bottom Line KE. We'll be able to find out more on this. Robi Raisha is also watching, and Frederick Karaya Gishuhi is also tuned in live. Remember, it is time for that conversation, and my guest, as I said earlier on, is right here on set with us. Prof, thank you so much for making time.
Thank you.
Asante sana for coming through.
Thank you.
And there's been a lot of questions concerning your, the agenda. They call it the 8-point agenda. You could be having more, but of course, I mean, there's been a lot of talk online when you actually release this, and it's important for you to just real quick talk to us a bit about the inspiration of these 8 items as you garner for the top seat in the country. Before we now start talking about each of them independently.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and this was such a short notice. But I think it's not 8. It should be more than 12. Because you have left out the key fundamental one, suspension of the Constitution.
That one is in there. Yes, we'll talk about it.
Good. And also the banning of the police uniforms, the diaspora, and also, let me see, relocating the new city and leaving Nairobi to be an industrial city. And then finally also, wanted also to speak on tax havens.
Tax havens. Let's talk about the uniforms for the police. Why? What do you want to do? I mean, if the police are not in uniform?
First of all, I've been a police officer myself for over 9 years. And the Constitution is very clear that where the government wants to interfere with the basic fundamental rights, especially the rights of workers, the rights of employees, then any change as to their future arrangements, they have to be consulted. There was no inclusivity. Police officers were not asked to give their views as to whether
current uniform
change of uniform was. But what we know is that the same uniform is worn in China. So the question I'm trying to ask is, did somebody go to China and was he arm twisted by the Chinese to get more aid, which was not told to Kenyans, to come in and just change the police uniform? And at times I heard Matiang'i saying that those uniforms were to come without pockets. Is that really human? If you look at a police officer today, and you compare the same police officer with those days when I was a police officer, you find out that police officers have the morale to work is gone.
So what do you want to do?
Ban that uniform. In fact, I will go to Nyayo Stadium after I become the president and ask all the police officers to throw them there and put paraffin in it and then ban.
Like President Moi used to do
with
the
ivory. Yes,
ivory.
Yes, because that is really, really bad to create an image of a police officer without involving him, making him look like whatever it is.
How do you settle on an appropriate uniform in terms of involvement of all the number of police that we have? I mean, how would you come to a conclusion that this is done? Because everybody has different tastes.
The Constitution says, involve me to change me. The preamble of the Constitution says, we the people. Therefore, you cannot just go out there and come to me and tell me that this is what I've designed you to be without asking me, whether I'm an employee or not an employee, whether I come from the disciplined forces or not disciplined forces. You have to ask me.
So what you'll be doing is going back to the drawing board.
Yes.
Ban what they have currently, and then during the process of negotiation or consultation and involvement of the public, what are they wearing?
They will choose whether they will want the same uniform or not. We shall have a referendum within the police, because the Constitution says so. But I would have done away with the Constitution anyway.
Actually, you've said that you do away with the Constitution, you'll suspend the Constitution once you are in office. And many people have a question to that, because this is the same Constitution that you will actually swear to protect. How do you suspend it?
I'm not going to swear by that Constitution because it's vague. It's a Constitution that was given to Kenyans. It was written for them. And if you look at the way and the method in which it came, it was aimed at recreating new structures for Kenyans to enjoy their freedom, to have economic development and what have you. But instead, there's too much corruption embroiled in that Constitution. And if you look at the judiciary, which is an arm of government, you'll find out that the Constitution says, especially Article 47, speedy trials, fairness, fair trials. But look at what is happening. You'll find out that the judiciary have abdicated their duty because there's no stick to beat whoever.
But let's sidestep back a bit. You say you will not even swear on this particular Constitution. So how do you then become president? I mean,
let me tell you
what
something.
Will you use to actually give you that mandate to call yourself Mr. President?
If you look at the United States, and you look at Britain, which does not have a written constitution, you look at Israel, which does not have a written constitution, and you look at New Zealand, which does not have a written constitution, they are acts of parliament. When Raila was being sworn in by the Bible at Uhuru Park with the Miguna present and the current MP and Mr. Kajwang, did they require the constitution, which had violated their rights? They have gone to court and things were not going hayward. What I'm trying to say is that the Constitution we have is rotten. It does not serve the purpose in which it was created. And the men and women who created that Constitution had their own version. If you look at what is in that Constitution was mainly copy-pasted. They had lots of commissions, people who did not really want to ask Kenyans in detail on what was happening. You'll find out, like, for example, when Pali Yashigai came to London to get together the views of Kenyans. I was by that time a student, and you had people like Dr. Ekuru Okot who were in the same hall sitting together. And when we asked him why they were rushing the Constitution, why some people in Luo Nyanza were being told, do you like the new Constitution? And then you could see a man saying, what has Raila said? If he says it's okay, then it's okay. I have a feeling that that Constitution was not done in a proper manner. The preamble is very clear, but the manner in which it was done has not yielded any fruits, and that's why you see a lot of contortions. It has a lot of documents and a lot of rights and articles that have not brought any yields to the country. And if you look at the acts of parliament that confirm and are meant to implement the Constitution, you find out that there is a lot that is being done, laws being made every day, those laws not being followed, and corruption, which is the main key, is what informs me that if the Constitution was right, and if Kenyans actually sat down for years to make their Constitution, just like what happened in America for over 100 years, then something could be. But we are 50 years independent, and nothing has been yielded. But look at the Constitution, look at the way they are impaginating the Constitution. Every day you find out that we have rules and regulations and acts of parliament which trying to underpin the Constitution. You find out people coming up, oh, what do we have to do? Let's look at the Constitution, then let's go to Parliament, let us do this. That kind of mayhem has caused this country to go into the drains.
Someone watching you would be worried and say that now he wants to decide on all these things, in a one-man kind of situation. And yet the constitution-making process and even the changing of the constitution took a democratic process that people had to choose. There was a referendum, and a majority actually decided to pick the constitution. It was promulgated in 2010. So, I mean, what do you say to those who actually say that this is actually what we wanted for our country?
We shall go back to the drawing table. I'll break it up, and then we shall ask Kenyans to decide.
You make it sound so easy. How do you break it just up like that?
When I'm the president, I have the executive powers. And when I'm the president, I will talk to the Kenyans. If they give me the mandate, what is it that you want to do better? And you have time to do it. Do it at your own will. I'll not put up commissions and ask commissions to walk around picking views from Kenyans. And at the end time, the method, in the manner in which those commissions are picked, Kenyans are not informed. Just pick 1, 2, 3, 4 people. Okay, go and ask for views. I want collective responsibility where every Kenyan can feel safe in his house and say, well, can we go for a town hall meeting? Can we meet under a tree? Can we have people to come around and let's talk and let us be heard, rather than just having men in suits like whatever because of the academic criteria upon which men are picked up. They're paid in a commission. They go around picking up views of Kenyans, yet they themselves have got their own agendas, whereby when they come up with the agenda of those who have brought them in. We need Kenyans to decide. Do I need to grow weed?
Yeah.
Did they include things like marijuana?
Yeah.
Coconut, pombe ya mnazi in Mombasa? Do you Australians want, what do you want us to do with the pombe ya mnazi? Did they go to Western Province to ask people about Mkombera, which is also something that I'm going to look into? Come on, they came in from the bottom-up approach, but we need Kenyans to have consensus to speak about it, just like they're speaking about legalization of marijuana.
Right.
It's a debate I've started, and you can see what Kenyans are reacting on. Did they even ask Kenyans whether marijuana is something that can help this country heal, can help this country to have some kind of economic advancement? No, that's a dirty thing, what have you. So there's a lot that has to be told.
Yeah, but much as there's a lot that has to be told, Mheshimiwa, you say that you would not institute commissions to be able to coordinate the process of views collection of citizens. So how then are you going to do it? Is it going to be you standing somewhere in a hill and talking to the whole country? Is it you, working with? How do you
ask yourself what Museveni has done to make Uganda to be where it is today? It's the people in the village who speak as to what they want. You come in after they have spoken, and then they will tell you this is what we want. But you don't go to the village, knock somebody's house and say, oh, we are the commission constituted by the president. Let the people decide. Let the people choose who they want to, so that they can stand on themselves, be head prefect themselves to chart the way forward on what they want.
Yeah.
But let's not have I, as professor, choosing men and women to go there. Let names be floated to the people. Let the people float the names and let them choose from those names from the people they can have a conversation with.
All right.
It's a conversational process which takes longer.
All right, so there'll be a commission, only that the institutionalization of it will be different.
Yes, it is the people to choose who they will have to give their views to. We have the elders in the village.
Yeah.
They have got their own ways of living. We have the Ugieks, we have the Sengwers in West Pokot, who would want to sit down and say, okay, you, Mr. Kamau, you have come from Mount Kenya. Do you know about our lifestyle here? Or you have come to ask us, pegged on what? What are the talking points? Go get talking points from these people and let them tell you, look, us from Nyanza or Ugunja village in Siaya, who were born this way, and we have been brought up this way before the colonials came in this country. So we also want to look at our heritage and be proud of it. And don't tell us, because a lot of African traditions were made repugnant by the Europeans when they came. So how do we go back to reformulate that?
Yeah.
How do we get our customs? How do we combine our customs in a process that we have to recognize ourselves and to have a right to choose what we want or not?
Yeah. Prof, the constitution making and amendment process is a tedious one. I mean, based on the face value, from a face value, and today as we speak, there are processes to actually do all that. And of course, an amendment to the constitution may be proposed by a popular initiative signed by at least 1 million registered voters, or a popular initiative for an amendment to this constitution may be in the form of a general suggestion or a formulated draft bill. Kenyans could be asking themselves, August 9 is just around the corner. You are elected. How do you practically do this? Or do you just say, you know what, Raroyo Makaratasi, the symbols of the Constitution, put it out there at the backyard? I mean, how do you practically do this?
You know,
this is utopia.
You know, my friend, the issue of utopia I knew was going to rise, to come up when it was coming, and I was aware that you were going to go that direction. But because you did not know what I have, which I will actually come out during my campaigns and tell the Kenyans what I think will be better, and if they can have it as a conversation within themselves, popular participation, not written by paper, then that will be another thing. Like what you have just read, that was written somewhere by somebody. Who wrote that one? What you have just read there? Was it not some language tailored by somebody? This is how we are going to do it. But did he consult before that language was tailored? Look at the 1948 so-called constitution that constituted Israel. Why was it torn out? Because the Israelis came up and they said, look, we can't have something right. Let's first of all go to parliament and have acts of parliament, follow the precedents, follow the judicial Torah concept, and then move as we speak, as we grow within. And that's why Israel does not have a written constitution. Israel just became Israeli in 1948. Israel now has very advanced technology, advanced development in the absence of a written paper. It doesn't have a single paper like what we are alluding to. New Zealand, for example, also has, it pegs its coexistence in day-to-day basis by what people discuss in parliament, what representatives discuss, what the people of New Zealand want. That is incorporated in the discussion. They also look at the case law. They look at, they validate that by the practical examples that have been in existence. And that's why New Zealand is very advanced. If you go to Canada, we have coded and uncoded. We have written and unwritten. But these are regulations which are not put in one paper. I'm talking of that one paper that saturates the mindset of Kenyans. Let us open up. Like, for example, we have county assemblies, which is a very good modus of operation. Let people talk in the county assembly as to what they want. Let people talk in parliament as to what they want. In UK, for example, we have an unwritten constitution. What UK has is, number one, they base their regulations on precedents, traditions that have been existing, and what has happened, and how they have gone over through the courts of justice. If you look at UK also, they have statutes. They have made laws in parliament which are adhered to. We have conventions, and we have the prerogatives, whereby if a minister is conferred with power or authority by the Queen to go and make legislation, he makes that legislation through town hall by gathering the views of those who are sitting and saying, look, we want to open up a road to go in this direction. What are your views? Then people will come and say, well, our heritage demands that a road of this magnitude should not pass here because this is a place we worship, or we need to put up a nursery school here. And then if they don't come to a conclusion, then they go to court for review. And whoever wins, that becomes the issue. There's a consensus among the people. But here, things are just written static. They have been written, and when it comes to issues like Kenya borrowing, you'll find out that the president has the power, is cloaked with foreign power, with authority to negotiate on behalf of the country. He doesn't go back to ask the people. He'll fly into China with a few men and women. They will go there and write agreements, come back and say, hey, China is giving us a debt, and they put a piece of rail, a piece of metal from Mombasa to Naivasha, and then monopolize that piece of railway without knowing that previously, before this piece of metal was inserted, there were people who are transporting their goods from Mombasa to Kigali. There were people who had taken loans that they bought this infrastructural mechanism to trade. Now you put people out of their business because you went somewhere and had a cup of tea with the Chinese who told you, look, this is better for you, without coming back to Kenya and following that same constitution that I'm going to put up and redesign it based on what people want. And then you say, well, kila lori sasa, accidents in nyingi, and then you commission the same Chinese people to build those roads, which are so much of substandard. Yet we have our own battalion in the Kenya Army, which is an engineering battalion. We have so many students who have done civil engineering.
That you believe could have been put there
yes,
to do the job.
Instead of putting these people together, so that you can also bring these people and then tell them, look, this is the specifications we need, this is the terrain of the road, we are Kenyan engineers, we know our tropical system very well, this is how we want it. You leave them. What do you do with the Kenyan engineers from the university? You let a Chinese who cannot even speak English to supervise even kuchimba mtaro to these students who have gone to the university and taken loans and they have to pay. And then at the end of the day also you come up and say, what has come from China is good, now we need to introduce Mandarin in schools. Nothing wrong with introducing foreign languages. But vis-a-vis, the Chinese have not introduced our languages in their country. And you can see what they have done. Now, the decolonization and the indecolonization come in indirectly. Mandarin is introduced, watu wanasoma Mandarin, alafu ndio wapate scholarship kwenda kusoma China ndio warudi hapa. Come on, the whole thing is just rotten. We have to re-energize ourselves and find out what went wrong with us.
What went wrong with us? I mean, Prof, you're saying you're not having tea with the Chinese, and you're saying that you want to introduce the farming and sale of marijuana to actually offset this 7.99 trillion shillings debt that the Kenyan government has that is financed by the Chinese government. I mean, talk to us a bit about that. I mean, what is inspiring this? Why hemp to actually fix this? Why not any other thing? This could be
how much does Kenya borrow every day? The president himself was on TV one day saying that we borrow 2 billion every day. The country right now is hanging in debt. Nobody's talking about it. Politicians are fighting themselves as to what cow they're going to slaughter to eat where, what price they're going to get into, what have you. The country has sunk. The country is in debt. Now, how do we pay those debts? Do we need to borrow from the IMF or the Bretton Woods institutions to offset off those debts? What's really an emergency today? Yet we have a very, very viable economic product, that a God-given economic product like hemp and marijuana, not for purposes of smoking, for medicinal purposes. If you may allow me, I'll tell you that hemp is used to make a variety of commercial and industrial products, including ropes, textiles, clothing, shoes, food, paper, bioplastics, insulation. But what's key is that hemp can be a natural solution for soil replacement and decontamination. Hemp's deep roots help stabilize the soil structure. Also, since hemp plants grow quickly, 180 to 500 centimeters tall in just 111 days, they provide natural shade which kills weeds. This eliminates the need of costly and toxic herbicides. In any contaminated soil, hemp is nitrogen fixing and also actively absorbs heavy metal contaminations from the soil, gradually purifying the earth. We can return our polluted, fertilized soils to their natural organic growth if you are given chance. So if you come for commercialization of the tribe, hemp it grows into a natural habitat. It takes only 4 months to grow, and it actually replenishes itself. Now, if we can harvest, for example, 100 acres, how many sacks can we get into 100 acres? And we harvest for export, not for consumption. Because I will have a pilot project. I will ask Kenyans if they will want us to have a pilot project and talk about the sale so that we can be in tandem with what is going on around the world. Look at Uganda. Uganda recently signed a contract with Israel to grow 150,000 acres of marijuana so that they can export it to Israel for Israelis to use it for their textiles and technology. If you look at Malawi, you look at Lesotho, go to California, to the United States, go to Holland, go to South Africa, go to the Europeans. And the problem we have here is we have people like me, like you, wearing suits and going to big schools to get indoctrinated, being told, oh, this is very wrong for Africa. And that's why when the Europeans came and they found out that green gold was available, readily available, and this would make Africans rich, the same way Saudis, the Arabs found oil and got up with them. Arabs have banned alcohol. Arabs themselves don't work. People go to work for them. but they also take marijuana because Islam does not forbid marijuana. So why not export to Saudi Arabia?
So you feel Kenyans who are probably feeling amused by this are getting it wrong. It is not marijuana for, you know, local consumption, ile ambayo watu wanafikiria. It is for export.
For export, so that we can pay off the Chinese. If we actually have Mount Kenya region, which is very fertile, which has been considered by scientists to be one of the best areas we can grow that seed, as well as Bunyore in Western Province, Kisii and Nyamira, would be making millionaires within a very short time, and then the poverty level will reduce, people will be free, and we shall have many wheelbarrows that Ruto has brought to carry that hemp so that we can take it, what have you. But also, for medicinal purposes, traditionally, you'll find out that Africans have lived longer before the Europeans came. And those who lived longer, according to scientific evidence, which has been carried up in terms of quantitative analysis, as well as qualitative or both mixed, what have you, you find out that those regions where Africans lived longer, they lived smoking it for medicinal purposes. Children who had missiles, for example, were taken the herbs were mixed with water, they were taken, they were given, and then they were also rubbed, and the kids grew up. The issue of somebody saying that people are drunk, or our kids are going to be drunk, and that's what I've been getting.
How do you control that? Yes.
Yeah, controlling is by regulation. If the Chinese themselves smoke this and they have controlled it, if people in Holland have controlled it, if Uganda has controlled it, then also tell me about cigarettes made by Philip Morris. A packet of cigarette has signs on it telling you about your death. If you smoke me too much, I'll die of cancer. Why can't you also do the same thing? What about whiskeys from Tennessee? John Walker and what have you? When they come here, somebody will tell you that this is 10 years, it's the best, but drink a whole bottle and you die. What about smoking, those who smoke? I mean, let's call a spade a spade. Let's say those who smoke. Like in Kenya today, about 70% of people smoke this, but they are afraid to come out because they will be arrested. Now, have you ever heard of somebody causing a road accident because he has smoked marijuana?
I mean, I would be able to verify that.
Okay, have you ever heard of a pregnant woman who is feeling pain and she smokes a pack, joint, having a miscarriage?
But
those are just talks, side talks. But I'm mainly concerned with exporting so that we can pay the Chinese and ask them to leave. And what I mean by this also is, some of the contracts signed by the Chinese are weird. Kenyans were not shown. The tendering system was not shown in accordance with the Constitution, popular participation in economic realization. I want to find out. When I take over as president, I will recall all those contracts. Kenya is a sovereign state and cannot be bound by anything that affects the minds of Kenyans. If I find out that some of those contracts were signed behind the door and people nipped some millions of shillings, and that's why you see some of them, the suspects that I'm not going to name today, yawning around with the helipads, saying that they can now rule Kenya after stealing from Kenyans, I'll tell those companies to go. What's wrong with that? Or we shall reconsider those contracts and give them our terms. And once we have, we shall grow enough marijuana and pay the Chinese and tell them, you know what, to hell with your debts. We want to stop the debt issue. The Kenyans who have not yet been born, but are yet to be born in 2, 5, 6 months from today, will die in debt. Because sorry.
Yeah, that's okay, Prof. I mean, I have a presidential hopeful who also sat just where you're seated, and for him the option he was taking was stop the hemorrhage in the area of the money and billions we are losing in corruption, so that now that money is what he would use to actually even fund some of these big government projects, including repayment of these debts. Some are even talking about renegotiating these particular debts. And that's where the question is the marijuana direction the major priority for you? Is this
Definitely. Definitely. If you look at what's happening in Mitandaos today, every Kenyan is like we have been waiting for this kind of discussion. We have been put down by the so-called multinational corporations like Pfizer and what have you, not to talk about it. But they themselves are manufacturing medicine out of it and then selling it back to Africa. If you look at Kericho, for example, the tea growing zones, how much is, and I'll come to your question, if you have a sack of tea grown in Kericho and you have a sack of coffee grown in Mount Kenya and you have a a sack of sukuma wiki and one sack of bang. Which one has more value? Which one is sellable? Let us grow this because this is God-given. It is there. Let us control, grow it, and sell it to offset off this debt. But if somebody is coming here to recycle us, saying that I will take that money, which he knows very well that is borrowed money, I will take that money and then pay off the debt. That person is sleeping. If he's a presidential candidate, I will defeat him very early in the morning because he doesn't know what he's telling Kenyans. You say you are going to take that money, but that money has been borrowed. That money has been borrowed, and so corruption is cycling that money. How are you now going to tell us that we shall take that money and then go like this? Those are jokers. Let us have our plant legalized, grow it, and export it so that we can cut off the debt within a very short time so that our kids can live in harmony. We can have infrastructure, we can build whatever we can build. We can have another city to move away from Nairobi. We can have tax rebate or tax havens in those areas to lure in investors so that we can move on, just like what Nigeria has done with Abuja, just like what the United States is doing, creating more cities in areas and then luring in investors like in the state of Delaware. Let us do what is practical. Let us not come here and say, oh, now we shall hold our arms like this and then look at those who are very corrupt. How do we punish them? Me, I'm going to have a death penalty. They have to hang. They will have to hang. I will talk to Kenyans. Do you want to restore death penalty temporarily for these bastards who have stolen from this country? Yes, they will hang.
They will hang.
Yes, definitely.
You also say you want to be, nominate yourself to the position of immigration minister. You also mentioned something about the ownership of media houses, but of course, more importantly, you've also spoken about introducing 8 prime ministers and doing away, in the place of the defunct 8 provinces. I want us to talk a bit about that when we come back from the break, plus any other items, but also go through some of the comments and feedback that most of the Kenyans who are watching us tonight have to say concerning your candidacy, plus of course the issues that you're putting on the table. You remember that you can be able to be part of this conversation. All you need to do is just talk to us across our digital platforms. On Facebook, we are live on Facebook Live. I have, who is this? I have Wycliffe, who says, tuned in, hot bottom line K tonight. Eugene with the guest, Professor Wajackoyah. Thank you so much. Robbie says, Professor Wajackoyah knows very well of a principle in constitutionalism known as autochthony. There is nothing like a bad way to come up with the constitution. It's just our way. This is what he says. James Kinyo says it's about time Kenya has this conversation. This man has a vision, but Kenya is not ready. Do you agree? Kenya is not ready.
Kenya is ready, but the leadership is the one that is destroying Kenya. If you look at the ongoing campaigns.
No, he means Kenya is not ready for you as a president.
Or if it's not ready for me, that's his own vision.
That is his own vision.
Yes.
All right.
And I respect it.
And you respect it. We'll be coming back to dissect more of these comments coming through on the show. If you have any questions or specific areas you'd like highlighted by Prof right here on the program, feel free. The hashtag is the bottom line KE. Don't go too far. We'll see you in just a bit. Stay with us.
My flowers, a title deed.
Buy a plot of land in any of Optiven's projects today and enjoy guaranteed cashback during this month of love. For every 390,000 shillings that you spend as deposit or installment, you get 12k cashback to spoil your loved one this February. Maua ni ploti.
Ideala, your one-stop shop for all your beauty and cosmetic brands. Come shop with us and grab a variety of products and enjoy our competitive wholesale and retail prices. Our branches are in Nairobi, along Naivasha Road, Rivonia House in Kawangware. We are also located in Meru along Mikinduri Road, Meru Town. Call us on 0726 279551 or 0757 671075. Ideala, let's make you stand out.
In 2017, the government of Kenya registered the Makonde community as the official 43rd community of the country. But the people of the Nubian community here in the country, with hundreds of thousands of their people spread across the city and other parts of the country, are still waiting for their turn. And as their leaders tell me, the wait is costing their future.
The future of money is simple, like unlocking possibilities with a smile. And having the world in the palm of your hand. It's the ability to touch many lives at the same time and turn your dreams into reality. It's forgetting and still remembering. Simple is having everything that you love in one place. From the ticket to your next meal, to your ticket to the next holiday. It's an easy way to ask for a boost when you're low. And keeping track of everything on the go. The future of money is simple, and it's here. Download the new M-Pesa app today.
Like, follow, subscribe, click the notification button. Join the Lookup TV movement now. Now.
Right, welcome back. Thank you so much for still being with us right here on The Bottom Line, KE on Lookup TV, broadcasting live across all the 47 counties. Yes, on Signet, via GoTV, Star Times, and all digital TV sets. You can be able to enjoy all our programming right here. And we are a solutions-focused television. Plus, of course, this particular program is coming to you every Monday from 9 p.m. My guest tonight is Professor George Wajackoyah. He's running for president under the Roots Party of Kenya. And of course, before we went for the break, we were dissecting some of his key agenda points, and we are also having your questions trickling in via the hashtag, the bottom line KE, on Twitter and also on our Facebook live stream. You can be able to ask your questions and get any clarifications or give us your comments on the statements that he's making right here on the program. Wegesa on Twitter says, Wajackoyah says he won't take oath under the current constitution. Raila did not take oath as the President of the Republic of Kenya in his mock swearing in, so he's not referenced. Will he suspend the constitution before the oath? Prof, this is a question to you.
We shall wait until that time.
Yeah, Prof,
no,
how do you plan to do it?
I will do that after I become the president.
You will change the constitution after you become you
Yes.
suspend the constitution after you become president.
Yes.
But you said you will not take oath using it.
Is it a must that I have to take an oath?
I mean, how then do you get declared president without taking oath of office?
I will discuss that on that day when the time arrives.
So umeshinda, but you've refused to take oath because the constitution needs to be reorganized?
As I said before, I will suspend the constitution for 6 months.
For 6 months?
Yes.
Okay. Right. And of course, before we went for the break, we were talking about you discussing or sharing more details on some of the other key points. You mentioned that you want 8 prime ministers, and it's important for you to talk to us a bit about this. Any Kenyan listening to this might be able to also ask themselves, when we last had a prime minister, actually several of them with their deputy prime ministers, we had a bloated government, and you say this will actually take the place of the defunct provisional administrators. Talk to us a bit about how practical this is going to be.
We are going to have a federal state. And I want to be very clear to those who misunderstood and quoted 8 prime ministers. It could have been a misquote. We shall have 8 chief ministers.
Chief ministers.
For every state. We shall abolish governorship. We shall have counties under states. For example, now Nyanza, as a state, will have counties within Nyanza. We shall also create mayors of cities. We shall also look into involving and empowering a chief minister of a state in terms of economic, in terms of political and social entrepreneurship, in terms of development. If you look at India, for example, the Indian model has chief ministers of each region. For example, the Punjab, they have a chief minister in Punjab. The current prime minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, was initially in the local assembly. Then he climbed the ladder that way until he reached chief minister before he became the prime minister. Now, what did I mean by that? For us to come out of this madness on spending, where we have 48 counties, and then autonomizing and looking at the budget and the bloated budget, we shall have Nairobi, for example, as an area which will be a bastion of economic, political, and social development. Just like we have Washington, D.C., which within the federation in the United States is not a state because of what it carries on in terms of administration. Now, if you have Western Province, Kakamega, Bungoma, and Busia, if you have a chief minister in that region, and then you have those 3 counties, as I mentioned, under the chief minister, the issue of devolution would much more have some meaning in terms of restructuring economic development and moving economy to have people to participate, talking about the budget, talking about state assemblies, talking about the Attorney General, talking about infrastructural designs, just like in Ondo State in Nigeria or Lagos State in Nigeria. The people of Lagos or the people of Abuja are very proud to have car plates from their own state. For example, now if you have Western Kenya as a regional with a chief minister, and we have those counties within, it will be easier for us to empower the chief minister to negotiate for his people, rather than going and bloating finances in the same way we are now looking into the counties and so how the counties have failed to design. Now, let's take Rift Valley, for example. We have a chief minister in Rift Valley, and we have Narok as a base for tourism in Rift Valley. The money is collected from Narok, for example, will not have to be taken to the federal government. It is the people of Rift Valley who will sit down and say, well, these are our resources. We have energized our people with what have you. We shall debate about our resources and then give to the central government or to the federal government whatever it is. It will not be like money coming from the federal government to the state. It will be the state giving a fraction. And that will actually lead to the management of tax regime. For example, now, if the people of Rift Valley are paying state taxes to the people of Rift Valley, to the chief minister in Rift Valley, the state taxes will be used within Rift Valley. But then, if also there will be federal tax, how will federal tax come in, for example? When you have instruments of commerce, for example, goods passing from one state to another state, then they will also have to deposit tax. And then you can also have double taxation, whereby if you are within the instruments of commerce passing through lines of commerce or passing goods from one state to another state, that will be also a mechanism of allowing the state to tax on wherever goods are passing within.
Yeah, but then, Prof, I mean, some of the people listening to us right now might feel this is too academic, and part of the reason would be they want to hear what do you plan to do for them in the immediate term, because most of these things will require a process.
Yes.
Otherwise, the other arm of government, and that is the judiciary, will term everything you're saying null and void.
But I would have suspended the constitution.
How? As a one man?
Well, it's not as a one man. I will ask Kenyans within the 6 months to form a new constitution that is tailored to what their specifications, not one which is made for them and brought, and then they're asked, oh, we go for a referendum, do you vote yes or no? Without them coming in to say, why should I say yes? Why and what have you was not there. So what I'm trying to say is that by that time, of course, this will be a gradual process, not something that's just going to happen the same way. We shall look at where it has worked. If it works in India, it has worked in India. It's working in Nigeria. It's working in South Africa. Then what's wrong with it working here?
So you're saying you won't suspend immediately again? So
No, I'll suspend the constitution within 6 months, and then ask Kenyans
what do they
to
want?
have a conversation.
Yeah.
What kind of constitution do they want?
At that time, there'll be a void, which you'll be
There
working
will be
within.
no void because we shall have parliament. Parliament will continue doing its work. Yes.
All right. Sesmo Times on Facebook Live is saying, following the bottom line, KE, ask Wajackoyah if there is any other business that would bring in income to Kenya, despite bang, that would bring obvious criticism from the people.
Well, let's look at it. Let's look at economic development in several spheres. Bang is an urgent issue that we need to do to repay the debts. We have fishing, we have wildlife, tourism, we shall have our agriculture. Then we shall also look into tapping into natural resources in terms of energy. We have a lot of resources in these countries that are not being utilized. We have mining, for example. We have also petroleum that has not yet been discovered in large quantities. We shall have also to look into other areas of economic development. And we also have, for example, human resource. We have so many nurses in this country, we have so many teachers. We can come up and do a Filipino style, whereby we can export a human resource to other countries and then take it from there. So we have a lot of areas that we shall look into and also expand on those that are existing.
Okay. Marion is saying, how can Prof state that he will become president without taking oath? What sort of law did he pursue? It's like saying that a state is sovereign and collapsed at the same time. Same thing.
Well, I've just mentioned, and that's why we have a lot of ignorance in the country. Not ignorance as such, but not being informed, because we are born in Busia, we go to Busia High School, from there we go to Nairobi University, we work in Nairobi, and then we live in that circle without seeing how things work in the world. I'm not saying that people are stupid, I'm just saying that creating awareness. I started by saying that Israel has no written constitution. I also added by saying that New Zealand has no written constitution. Canada works in both written and unwritten. UK, which is the mother of all battles in terms of common law and imperial manpower, has no written constitution. Look at what the Prime Minister does in Parliament. He takes an oath in Parliament. I will also take an oath in Parliament.
Yeah, but that is guided by a constitution that actually says that he has to take an oath from there.
Well, the Prime Minister in England does not take an oath guided by the principle, by the constitution. He takes an oath guided by we the people phenomenon. You don't need to write that down to take a constitution. If the people say take an oath now, you will take an oath. After suspending the constitution, we move on.
We move on. There's an item you also mentioned about media houses ownership. It's also good for you to clarify on this. You say that under your manifesto, during your tenure, media houses will only be owned by journalists and not other proprietors. Was this misquoted?
Well, when it comes to free market economy, yes, I will not interfere with business people, but the media houses have to be regulated so that the owners include stakeholders who include people who work for the media houses.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say that I'm going to interfere with the business as it is, but if you look at the media industry in this country, which is huge, which actually plays a bigger role as the fourth estate, the majority of journalists are not paid. Because people who own media houses are not properly regulated in terms of remuneration. So what's wrong with having the media personnel being part of the system, being part of the stakeholding? Why would you make millions and millions of people like Macharia, and then you go out without getting whatever? Look at so many people, look at the universities that are teaching mass media and what have you. Graduates, when they come from school, some of them have become Papuas. Then we need to open up a channel for them actually to enjoy the benefit of our economy. We need them to be independent entrepreneurship, or rather encourage them to have their own independent entrepreneurship under the new technology, media technology, and then empower them with the resources so that they can operate without being actually being squeezed into the so-called perennial media houses, which are not expanding, but they're raking in thousands and thousands of shillings, and these people go home almost empty-handed. That's why you see there's a lot of corruption. And politicians have taken advantage of that, in that whenever you go for a political rally, you get media, the media is there, and then a politician will come in and stuff money into their pocket, and that has become the status quo. And I become very much ashamed to see what is going on. Let us empower these people, let us elevate them, let us give them what is righteously theirs, so that they can work like any other industry.
So you feel the solution is the ownership has to be, or the management has to be under someone within the profession or the industry?
Not only that, but stakeholding. Let us pay people equally. And that's why when Eric Omondi goes to Parliament to enshrine himself somewhere crying for the music rights and media rights, people think he's mad. He's not a mad person. He's just trying to tell them, look, we do everything, but then you pirate everything from us. And I like Eric Omondi. I like the resilience with which he's actually fighting for actors. Let us also make this as an industry, just like we have done with the border borders. Let's regulate people, let people enjoy, have what they have to, and then go.
Yeah. Two items. You want to be, or to self-appoint yourself the immigration minister, and out here young people would be saying, you are taking up the jobs yourself. You're already president and you still want to be the minister of immigration. I mean, why, Prof? Mbona usitafute? Why not look for people like us to do that job? You want to do it yourself. Yet
I'm an expert in that area.
President.
And the reason I'm saying, and it's not really natural history that somebody can say, you have had even Moi being the president and then ministries being put under his ministry. Immigration is very key.
Yeah.
We are now being revamped by foreigners. If you go to Kitengela today, you'll find out that the businesses that Kenyans are supposed to be doing are taken over by Zairans, for example, who do not have papers in this country. We can look at the Chinese. We can look at other foreigners who come in, especially from the neighboring countries. The country has been revamped. Kenyans have nowhere to go. Sooner or later, we shall be overpopulated by these people. Now, if you look at the immigration department itself, Mr. Muteshi has tried. Now I'm told that there is a bill which is going to remove the word immigration. They're coming up with some kind of concoction that is going to look to make immigration irrelevant in the country. I want to streamline immigration. There are so many people who are suffering because and running away, and businesses running away to Uganda, whereby where an investor comes in and has what the regulations say, you pay the fee, you get your work permit, and you move on. In this country, we have had Asians who are born here, Somalis who are born here, but they live in fear. They have never left the country. Instead of the minister exercising discretion and granting them citizenship, or granting work permits to these people, it takes forever. And I'm also going to remove the intelligence from this operation. Because right now, if you apply for a permit, the immigration, you are told that the NSIS has to look into it. And we are not told of the formula. So there is an abuse of law here. If the NSIS has to work in it, they should work with standardized procedures. If you make an application today for a particular work permit, either Class D or Class G, then this is the duration you have to take. If you make an application for citizenship, this is the duration you have to take. I can tell you for sure that I, as a lawyer in that particular area, have seen what people are going through.
Yeah.
There are people who applied for citizenship in this country 8 years ago. There are Asians who are born and raised in this country whose parents never registered them, that are still not being given the right to stay in this country, yet their children are Kenyan citizens and what have you. There's a lot of rot in immigration here. And trust me, once I take over that portfolio, I'll make things, I'll restore the image of Kenyans to Kenyans, and I'll also make foreigners who come in to be given their rights so that they can actually be recognized and to have speedy process so that they can get their papers and life goes on.
Is this the reason why you want to hand the Ministry of Trade to a nominee of Asian descent?
Well, 98% of industrial manufacturing and pharmacy in this country is done by the Asians. Number two, they put food on the table of more than 4.2 million Kenyans, which means that they play a bigger role in industrial manufacturing and in commodity sales and trade and merchandise. But nobody thinks about Asians. Whereas if you go to a country like Britain today, you'll find out that the next prime minister in Britain is likely to be an Asian. The Chancellor of Exchequer in UK is an Asian. The Minister for Home Office, Ms. Patel, who was my schoolmate, is an Asian. The Secretary of State for Health in Britain is an Asian. And the City Mayor of London is an Asian. If you go to America, where they have excelled more than any other country in terms of economic contribution to the country, the Vice President of the United States is of Asian originality. If you go to Canada, the Minister for Defense is an Asian. But in Kenya, what happened? During Kenyatta One administration, Kenyatta encouraged Asians to come up. He protected them, and he made them, and many of them joined the police. Many of them were nurses and what have you. That has disappeared. Nobody talks about Asians apart from looting from them during elections. And if you do not know, if you do your own statistics, and I would like the media to come in and investigate, you'll find out that a lot of Asians are removing money from this country for fear of being victimized when it comes to donations indirectly by those thieves who are now running around, some of them wanting to be whatever, and I'm not going to label them as such. So Asians have actually to be retained to keep our economy going. They are Kenyans. Those who are willing to stay should stay, and we should accommodate them. So there is nothing wrong with me telling them, look, don't go to overinvest outside. Don't have that fear. Let you have a ministry and portfolio.
Right. Prof, we're about to close this conversation, but it would be good to also ask you, what are the prospects that you see for yourself? I mean, having dissected some of these issues, we might not have concluded all of them. But what are the prospects for you come August 9th? What do you see, your crystal ball, what is it telling you? How many votes are you seeing yourself getting?
Well, right now I don't know. I'm talking to Kenyans. I've just started. I came in late. I don't have what it takes to go through the old school of politics, running like madmen and women abusing each other. I'm issue-based, and I will be talking to Kenya from where I will be or wherever I meet them. If they want to elect me, fine. If they don't want to elect me, that's a democratic process. But I'm not going to say that, oh, I'm going to win, I'm going to lose. Let them decide, because one day in politics is like 10 years in Sahara Desert. So things might change.
Things might change.
Yes, and what I want to encourage Kenyans, especially those who think that I'm worth it, let them come up in big numbers. Those who want ganja to be grown, please, don't smoke it now, don't do anything. Come out in big numbers, and after we win the elections, you will never suffer again with wheelbarrows. You will never suffer again with the pledges of 6,000 shillings for disabled Kenyans. And you ask those people where they're going to get that money to give people, making Kenya a lame welfare state. We shall have enough money for everybody, and people will be happy. And we shall have a new Kenya.
We'll have a new Kenya. So you believe that the people will decide, and from your conversations with them, you believe that the prospects could actually change?
Things can change, who knows?
Can change.
Because right now, if you look at the people who are fighting, they are fighting themselves like what have you. Now they have come into groups at Azimio. Some people are telling me, you join Azimio. I say, but if I join Azimio, my dream for Bangi will die.
You could work around it from there.
No, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just me, and I'm running for president up to the debe. Why are they asking me to join them now? What importance do I have to them? I even invited Raila group, I invited Ruto group to come to my function showing them that I'm a Kenyan and they're Kenyans. None of them. I even told my cousin Otienda Molo, come in. He didn't even call me back. So do you want me to go and join them so that they take me where?
Yeah, maybe they're looking at, some of the tools that they have been used over the years. For example, the opinion polls that sometimes show how the numbers look like, for them to be able to say, we have a very short time to take this thing, so why go to such a meeting where someone has never appeared in any of the opinion polls?
You see, I've never appeared. I have no intention of appearing because they will not make me appear.
Yeah.
Those who have opinion polls have got their own paymasters. I don't have that money to go and pay somebody to put me on a piece of whatever. But let me tell you this. It's up to Kenyans to decide. Because if they want to remortgage this country again, me, I'm okay. I came in this country. I have a home in UK. I have a home in the United States. I came back to sacrifice. I was not deported. I came and I keep on going because my wife is in the US, my kids are in the UK. I came dedicated to working with my fellow countrymen, maybe to tell them, look, I might have nothing, but at least listen to me. Let us rescue this country. But if they want to listen to them and vote for them, it is them to suffer, not me.
Yeah, I mean, that's very powerful. I think it's where we'll end this conversation from.
Thank you.
It's them to suffer, not you. You've offered yourself for leadership, and it's up to them to decide.
Yes.
Right? I think this is very loud and clear, and if come August 9, you're not happy with the choice, I believe this program has been able to offer you with several other voices other than those that probably are being fronted as the front runners for you to just decide. And most of them have even said it on this particular show that you will not say that you did not have an alternative to pick from. But the key question is, are the alternatives matching up to your expectations? These are conversations we'll keep having right here on the Bottom Line KE, but overall right here on Look Up TV ahead of the August 9 polls. We have a new show coming up on Wednesday. It's the Road to August 9. It is Politics and Power, which will be able to also dissect more of the political issues, plus of course do a lot of fact checking, looking at what the politicians are saying and whether that makes sense, and we'll be able to dissect the numbers for you right here on Look Up TV. So keep it Look Up TV. We'll be able to see you again same time, same place. But of course, to all those who have made this program a success, to our teams behind the scenes and all those who've been tweeting and commenting, tunasema asante sana. We'll see you again on Monday. My name as always is Eugene Anangwe. Goodbye for now.